And that beautiful pond is going to be one of many that are going to be on tour, coming up with the Austin Pond Society Tour. I'm joined now by Carl and Linda Tinsley, who are representing the Austin Pond Society. Welcome back to the program, y'all, and congratulations. This is the 20th annual Austin Pond Society Tour.
Yes, it's the 20th annual. It's a real special event for us, and we're really happy this year to have partnered with Dell Children's Medical Center to benefit the good work they're doing there.
All right, so it is a benefit, goes to a great cause, and there's a special part of the tour that is related to Dell Children's Medical.
On Sunday morning from 9 to noon, they have graciously offered to let us show the pond.
Yeah.
And we're real excited about that because it's a beautiful pond.
Mm-hmm.
And last fall, we were fortunate enough to get a call from a pond owner who had to find a place for 70 large goldfish.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dell got the fish.
Okay.
And so the kids are happy.
All right. All right. So this is, and the tour is going to be on June 7th and 8th.
Yes.
And this is a Saturday, Sunday, and you typically divide it up on different parts of the city, different days. Is that going to be the case this year as well?
Yes, there'll be, there's 7 ponds on Saturday in the south, with 2 ponds that evening as well, and then 11 ponds on Sunday.
Okay, so 2 in the evening. So for those who want to see night ponds and
Yes,
special
the lighting is very dramatic and always wonderful.
Okay, so I know you mentioned that Dell Pond is going to be on the tour.
Yes.
And this is, again, a very special place, quite a large scale, too.
It is. The Healing Garden is comprised of the pond and a large green space for the children. And I found out with talking to the foundation people that often, not only does the family, the brothers, sisters, mom, dad, cousins, come to visit the child who's a patient
Sure.
at the medical center, they get to bring the family pet.
Oh, that's sweet.
So, it serves as a good green space for people to relax and meditate, and it's good for the child.
Of course it is. Yeah. It's a beautiful place to retreat to outside of all the
Exactly.
technology of the
Right.
hospital itself.
Yeah.
You know, the healing is a very appropriate theme there, and it's a great cause to benefit. Let's talk a little bit about one of the ponds that's going to be on the tour. Speaking of children's garden, now this pond and garden is really quite unique. It's got all sorts of little villages and like dollhouse size kinds of creations scattered around. Tell me a little bit about it.
Jorge built this pond and did all of the work in the backyard, and one of the things that he did, and they told us about it last year when they were on the tour, they said, you should see what we got. And what he's built is like little doll houses. Most of them are kind of adobe or pagoda looking, but they're all over around the pond, so it looks like a little village. Some of them have lights in them, they've got little people in them, and it's a really whimsical take on the pond, and the entire yard is really well done like that.
Okay, well, a few years ago, when people were talking about fairy gardening, my eyebrow went up, and I thought, oh no, what's it? But I understand this is like an enormous thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a whole village.
Yeah, and fairy gardening is really popular. These are a little larger than the typical fairy garden, but it's that same concept of a small scale. And next to their large pond, they even have a small pond with little people and little houses and a little fishing dock, and it's quite something.
It's cute.
Well, and as always, one of the joys of a garden tour is meeting the owners, and I'm sure that the folks will enjoy meeting the owners of this particular one and all the others. You have with 22 gardens, you have quite a selection, I'm sure, of personalities as well as garden styles. So, I want to, as we think about ponding, and it came roaring onto the scene about 20 years ago with the Austin Pond Society here locally. Right. And it's been really popular. But how's the drought impacting? How are people changing the way they pond and garden with water, given the drought situation?
I think one of the things that you see is the use of rain harvesting systems. Some people do it on a small scale, some on a large, but trying to conserve the water used in the pond is something a lot of people are trying to do. Not everyone can do it.
Sure.
But those who can, there are some people who have 18,000-gallon cisterns that feed their
Yes.
pond, but other people make do with a couple of barrels, and you
Yeah.
really, I guess, need some barrels and some downspouts from your gutters to
sure.
get started.
Right, right. So I'm glad to hear that people are doing that, and just it's. I know that the drought is just weighing on everybody's minds right now. Let's talk about another one of the gardens. There's one that has a spectacular front yard garden, which is something that you don't front yard pond that you don't see this very often.
You don't, and this is a really great example of a large-scale, professionally built pond designed by the owners of the house when they had it built, and it really takes up the whole front yard, and it's filled with water lilies and fish, and it features a rather long stream that runs from their neighbor's front pond. They aren't actually connected, but they appear to be.
Right.
And then they continue this theme in the back where they also have a pond, and then there's a series of dry creeks and streams running between the two. So this entire house seems to be surrounded by water.
And beautiful ponds
Yes.
too.
Oh, they're very well done.
Very wonderful.
And and some of these ponds I think are done by the owners, and this was a professional pond, right?
Yes.
Okay. And sometimes the scale of those can be, well, I don't know. Homeowners can do.
You'd be amazed.
I don't think I'd be too amazed.
There are some on this tour that are owner built that rival some of the big professional ones.
Well, there are many benefits to ponding. Especially, we have kind of a children's theme this year, and one of I think the best benefits to the ponds is just the life they bring to the yard and how that can transform a young person. We saw that I think in the video with the
Yes.
family.
Exactly. And it's like an ongoing large science project that's with you all the time. And as an adult, I've learned from the pond.
Of course.
So it's, I think it's really great for children.
Right. It instills that sense of wonder and it teaches something.
Yes.
And it's really amazing the variety of life that lives in the pond. I mean, you see the vegetation and you see the fish, but there are all sorts of varieties of bugs, dragonflies, toads, and
Right.
everything that live in the pond. And we had an entomologist from the city come visit the Pond Society, and he went to the pond out in front of the Zilker Gardens, and he had a shallow tray, and he just filled it up with some water, and he brought it inside and then pointed out to us all the different creatures that were swimming around in the water that you don't pay attention to
Right.
if you're just looking at the
Right.
macro view.
Right. Well, we have just enough time to look at one more garden, and this is one that features a lot of spectacular metalwork and stonework.
Yes.
And this is largely created by the owner himself, right?
Yes, Tom and Sherry Gingras live in Briarcliff, and they've built this wonderful backyard with this beautiful pond, and it features a small patio that is surrounded by two ponds with a stream in between them. And then Tom teaches metal art, and so there is a lot of wrought iron and neat metal sculptures. There's a lot to see at their place.
Well, I love the stonework in this particular one, and very naturalistic and artfully placed. To me, that's a sign of a really great pond. Is when it looks natural in many ways, and I think that this one qualifies in that respect. Now, again, the tour is coming up on June 7th and 8th. And where can people learn about it, and how do they participate, real quickly?
Yeah, so all the information about the tour is on our website, austinpondsociety.org.
Okay.
You can find out where to buy tickets, and they can even get a guide to the map and everything of where it's going to be.
All right, austinpondsociety.org. That's easy to do. All right, well, I really appreciate it, Carl and Linda. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Tom.
As always, our pleasure. And good luck on the 20th Anniversary Pond Society Tour. Coming up next, it's our friend Daphne.